and reading from an article called SI Live, Staten Island Live, that's the name of the publication. And shout out to this article because it's rare that like I'll read like pretty much just an entire article from top to bottom, but that's pretty much what we're gonna do with this article because there's just a lot of heat packed into this. It's headlined "After Parole Denial in Staten Island Crash That Killed Two, Ex-New Jersey Cop is Looking for Love Online."
Ooh la la.
Yeah. So in May, the New York State Parole Board denied early release for Pedro Abad, a former Linden, New Jersey police officer serving time for a drunk driving crash that killed two of his passengers on Staten Island. Weeks after the board's decision, Abad appeared on an online dating site seeking female companionship. Quote, "I'm a loving, giving, selfless man, always supporting women's rights," read part of his profile. "I promise, senorita, age does not matter."
Hey, this guy's pro-choice and not ageist. Not bad.
Yeah, dude. You got to clarify what you mean by age does not matter, especially when you're currently in prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a prison abolitionist here, and I don't want to shit on people in prison, but I'm just saying that if you are in prison and you're making a dating profile and you're talking about age not mattering in all caps, maybe clarify which end of the spectrum you're talking about here.
That's a very fair point.
This guy, he's like, why does my parole keep getting denied? I don't get it. Why won't they let me back out? Why won't they let me loose on the public? Age does not matter.
Age doesn't matter on the entire spectrum. Don't ask any more questions.
Yeah, dude. And the all caps, the senorita, there's just so much spiciness to this guy's dating profile. And this article, which I love the back and forth between the, that's pretty funny, and then, oh shit. And that's what we're going to do right now. Reading this article, it says, "I promise, senorita, age does not matter." During Abad's trial in 2017, prosecutors said he and his passengers had been drinking at Curve's Gentleman Club in Charleston prior to the wrong-way crash on the West Shore Expressway. Abad had two previous drunken driving arrests before that night. Two passengers in Abad's car, Linden police officer Frank Vigiano and civilian Joseph Rodriguez, both 28, died of their injuries. Abad and another passenger, Linden police officer Patrick Kudlak, 24, were badly hurt. Abad was sentenced to the maximum allowed prison term of 8 1/3 to 25 years in prison. He's eligible for parole again in May 2027.
Okay.
So this is kind of an interesting thing here where it's like we're constantly, especially if you just like rewind a little bit to our headline roundup, cops are always drinking and driving and hitting people and pretty much largely getting away with it. The charges are always dropped. The sentencing is always reduced. Charges never filed in the first place. But in this case, we see a cop, they're pursuing the maximum amount of prison time, and that's a lesson for all you cops. If you want to get away with killing people, just make sure the people you kill are not also cops.
That's the issue.
That's just the one thing you got to make sure you don't do when you're trying to get away with your violent crimes.
Yeah, when you have multiple drunk driving charges against you, just don't take out other cops.
Exactly.
And you'll be all right. Just to back up a little bit, I think he really does respect women's rights because
that's my favorite part too. Yeah. Love women's rights, y'all.
He was at Curve's Gentleman Club supporting women one lap dance at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Support women's rights.
Yeah, this guy, he's like legalized sex work. Am I right, y'all?
Yeah. He's an ally.
Yeah. The dating site, Pen A Con, so Pen A Con, aims to, quote, help those within the incarcerated community gain friendship and make romantic connections around the world. Whether you're looking for a new friend to connect with or want to stay in touch with an imprisoned loved one, you've come to the right place. Browse the site for personal ads, pictures, and profiles of inmates to find your pen pal today. And again, I want to make it very clear. I support this app. People incarcerated, they're still human beings. They should be able to pursue human connection. I just think this particular case is hilarious of this cop's dating profile. Any age will do in all caps while he's in prison, and just the amount of senoritas tickles me as well.
I do think that's where the app uses the turn of phrase the incarcerated community.
Yeah.
That's kind of a weird way to put it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, look, it is a community.
I guess it is a community.
It's their neighbors, whether they like it or not.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And so let's just go further in this guy's profile. Abad's profile includes a photo and a bio explaining his background, his conviction, and what he has to offer a woman as a friend or romantic partner. Quote, "So I've been locked up for almost 10 years, and I was just denied my first parole board. I was hoping to go home, but I guess God said, not yet."
I love this.
Me too.
With a bunch of O's, like being all casual about the vehicular manslaughter.
Yeah.
So, no biggie, whatevs. I've been locked up for the past 10 years.
Yeah, long story short. So, I bet you're wondering how I got here right now. The judge blamed me, but I blame my drug dealer at the strip club who sold me cocaine so weak it didn't even sober me up before I drove home.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, dude. Selling cocaine that week should be a crime. The profile goes on, quote, "Whether it's for friendship or romance, I promise you, senorita, age does not matter. I love to cook, dance, and work out. Although I'm a skilled fighter, winning trophies in karate, kickboxing, and taekwondo, my true passion is fighting for those I love."
That's poetic.
It is look, it's giving I like long walks on the beach type of a dating profile, It's just not very modern,
No.
Make it funny, make it quirky, do something different.
Yeah.
He explains he was a former police officer and he currently is a certified paralegal and he plans to become a lawyer. Quote, "Working in the law library for years in prison, I assisted many people with court motions. Long story short, I shouldn't be alive. God saved me for a reason, so I strive to be a better person. Not only to be the man God created me to be, but to find the right woman."
Now, this found God thing, it's like it saved him for a reason, so by that rationale, God let the other people die for a reason?
Yeah, it's tricky, the God stuff, Look, I'm not a big religious guy myself, but I'm not, if you believe it is what it is. And, people find God in prison, which makes sense.
And if it is helpful, if it's helpful, I don't have something better.
Yeah. And I'll just say this, look, it's great to be godly. I would say it's also pretty easy to resist temptation of sin while you are locked up in prison. Meanwhile, what was he doing outside prison?
Yeah.
Hanging out at the gentlemen's clubs? What does God say about that? Drinking, driving, getting behind the wheel, killing your friends. And now he's in prison and he's like, I love God. God guided me into your heart.
I love God because I have to.
Yeah, swipe right on God.
Swipe right on me and God. I'm alive for a reason. Yeah. And it's to meet senoritas of all ages.
Yeah. Quote, go back to the profile. "I go to the gym daily to sweat out the pain of not being home because right now my ma is all I got. I'm a loving, giving, selfless man always supporting women's rights. I promise, senorita, age does not matter. Bezos, and God bless you. So, again, I don't know how if there's ever been a I love women's rights that close to age does not matter in a relationship.
I really wish he expanded upon what he meant by women's rights.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It sounds like it's just not a good dating profile. It reads as desperate. The women's rights there, dude, like you're fucking white knighting on the dating apps. Don't do that.
I mean, it's going to be hard not to come across as a bit desperate if you're in prison trying.
Fair. You could argue he is desperate in a real sense.
Yeah.
I'd be desperate too.
He's in a tough spot. I mean, he's in a tough spot.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Yeah. Look, I'm all about prison abolition, but I think if you're a cop who's in prison, if you were on the front lines like of the empire, and now you've found yourself on the other side of that, I'm gonna make fun of it a little bit. That's it. That's it.
I think it's fair to have a bit less sympathy for that. Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah.
Maybe I have sympathy for anyone locked up in prison. But I think generally our prison industrial complex, nothing funny about it, generally. But every now and then, it is funny, especially if you're a cop from Staten Island who fucking got drunk at a strip club with your cop buddies, and then now you're in prison and you got a little dating profile. That's hilarious to me. Your dating profile says age doesn't matter. You're in prison. Fix that. Fix that. You got women's rights on your dating profile. You could do better than that. Try harder. Are you really that desperate? Because you could be trying a little bit harder on your dating profile. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
A little bit of a critique on the profile.
I think that's fair.
At Abad's 2017 sentencing hearing in State Supreme Court, St. George, the sister of a man killed in the crash said her family was devastated. Quote, "This crash was 100% preventable. I will never forgive you. You killed my brother. I hate you. I don't care what happens to you. I actually hope you die before you are released." Holy shit.
Yeah.
She also took a swipe at Abad's prior comments to the media in which he had spoken to God. "I also spoke to God, and he told me what the plan was. He said, you're going straight to hell." Damn. Kind of bars on her as well. Abad also addressed the court in a rambling 30-minute statement. He swore he couldn't remember the events that claimed the lives of two passengers. He apologized to the victims' families, assured them their loved ones are happy in heaven. Holy shit. Complimented prosecutors and the media on their work and invoked God's name. He also suggested the victims should have taken an Uber home instead of getting into his car.
The old should have taken an Uber defense.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, I mean, it's really their fault that they're dead, and they are happy they're dead, that they're in heaven. So you're welcome for putting them in heaven, but also it's not my fault; it's their fault. So they should really be thanking themselves for not getting an Uber. Now they're happy in heaven. This is honestly one of the craziest paragraphs I've read in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, solid victim blame during a parole hearing. It's probably a good idea.
Yeah. Why does his parole keep getting rejected? What the hell's going on? What's wrong with our prison industrial? I'm starting to realize it because there's something wrong with our system we have here.
Yeah, I mean, he respects women's rights.
Yeah. What more do you want?
He's open to women of all ages.
All ages.
He's spoken to God.
Yeah.
They're lucky they're in heaven, and they should have taken an Uber. Let this man go free.
Yeah, he's a senorita's man. Quote, "You almost had me," said Justice Mario F. Mattei, which, first of all, you almost had me. That's hilarious. I was this close to letting you walk free. I love you, bro. You know that, right? You almost had me, said Justice Mario F. Mattei before handing down the sentence. But then you tell me they should have called Uber.
Oh, no.
He's like, strike one. They shouldn't have gone into your car. That's what you're telling me. You weren't an accident waiting to happen. You were a time bomb waiting to explode. Wow, a lot of great penmanship by these people that are angry at him. You have no idea of the magnitude of what you did.
Yeah, it seems like he still hasn't really truly kind of acknowledged or wrapped his head around the fact that he took these lives.
Yeah, he seems like kind of just a fucking moron, to be honest.
He does. He seems kind of dumb.
Seems kind of empty-headed.
Because he says, it's like, I shouldn't be alive, you know, like, he doesn't.
It's an uncreative dating profile.
Yeah.
That's first sign. And just like during your sentencing hearing, you're saying that
should have taken an Uber.
The whole point, like you're standing in front of the judge. It's like literally your motivation right now is to be sympathetic towards this judge who your life is in his hands right now. Like it's sentencing. So you've already been convicted. Now this judge is going to decide what your punishment is.
Yeah.
You have to be a sympathetic figure. You can't be going on a rambling half-hour speech about how the victims are happy that they're in heaven and they should have called an Uber in the first place.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I think something that's telling is when he says in his dating profile, I go to the gym daily to sweat out the pain of not being home.
Yeah.
Compared to saying to sweat out the pain of, you know, killing multiple people.
True.
Due to reckless behavior.
That's a great point.
You know?
You would be good at getting parole.
You
would be great.
Yeah,
at
being conciliatory.
Being sympathetic, being a sympathetic figure. I would be too.
Well, I've fucked up so much in my life that I've had a lot of practice, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're an empathetic guy. You know, you're a good listener. You know, I feel that those are great qualities in
well, thank you,
getting
Jaffer.
Parole.
Thank you, Jaffer. I am a good listener. I take pride in that.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's some really vampirous people that'll just talk at you, you know, and they know if they got their hands on a good listener.
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
Those people, they should be locked up.
They should
deny
be
them
up.
parole.
Deny them parole all day long. They're emotionally draining me.
Yeah, along with this motherfucker and everyone else who advocates for women's rights.
Yeah. I respect women's rights of all ages.
Yeah, bro. You gotta specify the age thing. You just
especially
have to.
In prison, man.
When you're in prison, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But especially if you're a cop, with all these headlines we read of cops abusing underage.
Yeah.
You know.
But people don't know that's not a stereotype for cops yet. But if there's one clear mission goal of this podcast is to make that a stereotype for cops.
Oh,
fuck the donuts. We're beyond donuts. Donuts, you know, that was long ago.
Let them fuck the donuts.
Pedos, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Fuck the donuts.
Fuck the donuts.
Not the kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's the message here. Anyway, that's a good moment to to move on from that story. So shout out that cop in prison with his dating life, and obviously this, you know, it's all the circumstances surrounding the story are very tragic. So
yeah, very tragic.
So I will, acknowledge that, but that's sort of what this podcast is a lot, unfortunately. But
I agree with you. Broadly speaking, I do support the Pentagon program.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so many people, wrongly incarcerated.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let people make connections.
Exactly. Wrongly by being like falsely incarcerated, and wrongly because they broke a dumbass law about like smoking weed or something, and now they're regardless of what you did. I mean, the prison system is fucking hell. It's torturous. It's torturous.
Yeah.
Even if you are guilty, I don't know if that's a humane punishment to be in this fucking torturous underbelly of the United States and like basically being in slave conditions.
I mean, it's not rehabilitative.
Not
it's
at all.
punitive.
Yeah.
And it's mean-spirited. It's not about rehabilitating somebody to be able to re-enter society.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strong agree.
You came on the right podcast.
I'm not getting pushback about that.